And we're back with another Book of the Week video where, you guys know it, I let you in on what I'm reading and loving. A comprehensive rundown of what you need to know before buying the book, and pretty darn short because you don't have the time. This week's book is The Rage of Dragons by Evan Winter. How I found my way to this book is actually kind of interesting because the book was originally self-published before being picked up by Orbit Books. So before the book got picked up by Orbit, Winter was hustling the book on his own, and that was when I first saw it. I think he might have even followed me on Twitter back then. This was actually a couple years ago. I remember checking him out and seeing that he was an aspiring author like myself, and then getting ads on my own social media for The Rage of Dragons. I followed him back on Twitter, and I even clicked on the ads, but I'll be honest, after I took a quick look at the book, this was years ago, keep in mind, I ended up turning it down. I didn't do much digging on my own, but I sort of took one look at it and decided I wasn't really sure that I wanted to trust my reading time to a newly self-published author that was sort of unproven in my eyes. I realize my mistake now, but this was years ago. So I went about my merry way, still getting ads on the book, still following Winter on Twitter, and sort of keeping tabs on what he was up to and how the book was doing. It faded from my memory over a year or so, and it wasn't until I saw that the book was announced to have been picked up by Orbit Books that I sort of did a double take. I was like, wait, I know that book. Wasn't this the book that I'd checked out before? Turns out it was. I was genuinely blown away that this author had finally made it to the big leagues, and I actually kind of felt bad that I had turned him down originally. Thus began my read through. I needed to see what the buzz was all about. So let's get you acquainted with the world. The Rage of Dragons is an African-inspired fantasy novel, the first in a planned series with Book 2 coming out this year. In the world of the Omehi, war is all they know. I hope I'm pronouncing this stuff right. I never check my pronunciations before I record these videos. They've been fighting for over 200 years now, and there's no real sign of it stopping anytime soon. Special enhanced people are born by a sort of lottery, with 1 in every 100 men being born with the ability to transform themselves into giant killer roid ragers. And on the other side, with 1 in every 2,000 women being born with the ability to call down dragons. Our protagonist, Tao, has no gifts. He's just war fodder. But Tao is a coward, and he's just looking for a way to escape. He's hatched a plan to get himself injured so he can be discharged from the army so that he can kind of just fade from existence and settle down with his future girlfriend. But before he can execute on that plan, fate comes for those that are closest to him. And the evils of the Omehi class system are shoved in his face with the murder of one that he loves most. His deepest sadness quickly turns to a seething fury, and he makes an unthinkable choice. He decides to dedicate himself to becoming the greatest swordsman that ever lived and use those skills to take revenge on those that have wronged him. So that's it. That's the pitch. But frankly, I don't think it's a great one. Without telling spoilers, it's actually kind of hard to highlight the really great aspects of this book. On the surface, it's packed tight with tired tropes and kind of run-of-the-mill class warfare. Boring social dilemmas and critiques of a society that is dictated by nobility and the like. Yada yada yada. Tao is oppressed because he's not special enough. He wasn't born with powers. I'm sorry, but this is not interesting. Not anymore. You've got to do better than that. What's interesting about this book, though, is that it kind of does. I was incredibly cautious when I started reading because I wasn't really impressed in the slightest. I was on a bit of a streak of reading unoriginal and poorly executed stories, and The Rage of Dragons actually had me worried. This is where Winter's writing ability really starts to shine through. What carries the first part of the book is the pace. Events move quickly, and danger is around every corner. Winter wastes no time in going for the heartstrings and really pulling you into Tao's life. One of my biggest critiques and loves for this book is that it is just action-packed. And when I say action-packed, I mean that it literally feels like the action never stops. But I only do Book of the Week segments for books that I would recommend you guys to read, so I have a lot of love for this book. I do think it's a little bit overhyped. I've seen other YouTubers raise the roof on how amazing this book is, and I'm not quite sure I see that much. It's a good book, but not amazing, with lots of potential, so I think it's worth reading and checking out the next book in the series. It is an incredibly indulgent book, and if you like that sort of thing, like I do, then you'll love it. It's really rewarding and well lathered with a lot of really grindy character building. And by the last act of the book, when the plot starts to really take over, it becomes truly engaging. Unfortunately, it is quite late in the book before anything starts to really feel original or like it has something to say, but it's actually worth the wait. The beginning and middle of the book is so chock full of Tau training that it can start to feel really monotonous. But Winter saves himself by being incredibly good at writing really cinematic fight sequences. Though I'll warn you, if you don't like a lot of action, this book isn't for you. In the end, I think my take on this book differs from critics and that I don't hail the world building or even the mainline plot. It definitely doesn't seem very original or amazing, but Winter's character work and ability to draw you into Tau's trauma is actually gripping. Winter takes an epic fantasy world and plot, but makes it rather intimate, focusing in on the mind of an incredibly damaged young man. That and the charm of the cast are enough to keep you reading. I think the next entry in the series will actually be well worth the wait, because the groundwork has been laid. If Winter can handle the undertaking, it's going to be a hell of a ride. That's all for today. Thank you guys for watching. Check out the book and be sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel for future content just like this. I'll see you guys in the next video.